For New York, this group out of South Orangetown Little League has really relied primarily on their pitching, but their bats have come up with timely hits so far in this tournament, and they'll try to add to their success with Raylan Van Zee in the circle. That's who they will face off against, the righty for Texas.
Van Zee is a pitcher that throws with some pretty good velocity out there in the circle, and she has a complete and full arsenal of pitches that she will throw at any time. She's got the fastball, the drop, the curve, the screw, the rise, and the all-important changeup. I would imagine we're going to see that off-speed several times in today's game.
Off-speed, that's been the name of the game for a number of these pitchers who have dominated. Last game, we saw JoJo Corneal with that great curveball. Van Zee can offer you that and more. And she throws ball one. Adriana Diorio leading it off for New York. And this is a team who's representing South Orangetown Little League. First ever trip to the World Series for the boys or girls for that organization. So very excited to be here, and their head coach, Joe Chiappa, said, look, we're not here to just be here. Yeah, we made it. I knew we had the team to make it. We're trying to win this thing.
Definitely a fierce competitive mentality, and it starts from the top for this New York squad with Coach Chiappa. As you mentioned, a lot of them are coming out here to win ball games, and they started off on a great note with that shutout win against Arizona in day one of this tournament. And what a better way to start off this game with a lead-off runner on board to get the offense started.
4 straight balls to Diorio. She's at first, and Haley Arvidsson now at the plate. Arvidsson is playing alongside her sister Hannah, who's on the team as well. A two-way player who really enjoys being in the circle, being in control, and having command of a ball game. The 13-year-old went 1 for 2 against Arizona, in addition to that 4-hit complete game shutout. Throw back to first base, and not in time, as diving back in is Diorio. That one looked a little low, but Don Mason says it's good enough for strike one.
And we know Haley Arvidsson's a pitcher on the other side, so I guarantee you she is taking mental note of that pitch being called in the low part of the strike zone. Going to see if she can use that to her advantage when she gets out there on defense.
Arvidsson in this team, so delighted to be here. We mentioned East Region champs, went 5-0, including that 1-0 decision against New Jersey, who's here, as well as 2 straight walks to start off this ball game for New York.
Already the infield coming in to have a conversation with Raylan Van Zee, maybe just to calm her down a bit. It is a warm day out, and not just warm, but very humid as well. So we've seen pitchers throughout this tournament so far have to make adjustments, trying to make sure they're getting a good grip on that softball when they go into their wind up. We've seen some of them use towels in their back pocket, even seen some rosin here. Texas trouble in the top of the first inning.
Well, certainly when you look at the conditions here, feels like 106 with that 60% humidity, so very hot, and definitely safety a top priority. We'll see some water breaks throughout this game to make sure that these young ladies stay cool, hydrated, and healthy to be on the field. Coach's daughter, Alyssa Chiappa, at the plate. She had a monster tournament during region play. Came up with a couple of hits and an RBI in that region final. And so far, Van Zee throwing more balls than strikes. The battery looks to the dugout. Mathis and Van Zee get the call, and here's the pitch. Chiappa trying to lay down that bunt. It rolls foul.
And if you're in Van Zee in this situation, you know that several times already you've seen New York try to square to lay down a sacrifice bunt. If I'm struggling to find the strike zone, I would just go ahead and pitch it straight to the barrel on that bat. If they are turning to square, force them to put the ball in play and let your defense work and try to get an out.
Chiappa swinging away right into the glove of Peyton Richards. She goes on to tag the base, and it's a double play.
And that's how a defense has their pitchers back right there. Great swing by Alyssa Chiappa, driving it over to first base, but Peyton Richards is ready for it. Not surprised at all, and I love how immediately when she catches that ball, she knows where to go next. That all comes down to the pre-pitch thought. As a defender, you're thinking, if this ball gets hit to me, where am I going to go? You could tell she knew exactly what she wanted to do there, and a big-time double play to swing that momentum back on Texas' side.
Very decisive Peyton Richards over at first base. Savannah Nordstrom now at the plate. Nordstrom looks at strike one come in. And when you watch Nordstrom, you see her at the plate. She's got good power, good size. She's ready to swing away.
And I like Van Zee going back to that exact same spot that she got a strike called on the pitch before. That pitch down at the knees, especially as it's dropping off the table at the end, is really tough for these batters to get their barrels underneath. Right there, goes to it again. I like that call, just a little bit further off of the plate, a little lower in the zone. A good take by Nordstrom. Watching that one go by.
And gets the strikeout. So after back-to-back walks to start off the inning, it's the defense and pitching for Texas that sharpen up. They're coming up to bat when we return.
For New York, in the top of the first inning, no runs, no hits, no errors. No base. Little League would like to thank our official partners, including Adidas, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Gatorade, for their continued support.
New York fans made the trip down to Greenville, North Carolina to see the South Orangetown Little League take the field, and let's meet them. Third, they'll be facing off against Haley Arvidsson. We've talked about one of the top pitchers in this tournament, and we'll get a chance to see what she throws. What do you like coming off the arm of Arvidsson?
Well, I really like a bit of everything. I like how she has good command of every single one of her pitches. She gets ahead of these batters, so she seems to have control of a lot of these at-bats because she's throwing so many strikes, and she has a really good off-speed that she will throw in any count. She'll even start off at-bats with that changeup, another way that she can get ahead.
Arvidsson helped them power through that East region, only allowed one run. So they have ridden the arm of Arvidsson. We saw some good defense from Texas the top half of the inning. Two of the best coming into the tournament, each only committing one error. Lexi Rosillo leading it off. And as we go through the nicknames of these players, you know, a few of them stand out. Goose, obviously pretty cool, but Rolex.
Oh, yeah. Little mix of Rocio and Lexi all morphed into one.
They inverted it, and so, you know what, there's a lot you could do with Rolex. I'm just going to sit on it, wait on it.
Be on time.
Rocio is a leader at the top of this order for Texas West. Her father, Edward Rocio, he's one of the coaches. Good pitch inside, called for a ball. Count even at, count full now, 3-2. Rocio takes her time there at the plate and trots to first.
A couple of those pitches really close to the zone. I thought Arvidsson was going to get the calls on them, but there's a great look at Edward Rocio. We had a great time being able to talk to him and just how much fun he has coaching this team. You can just tell by the little blurbs that he gave us on each one of the players just how much fun he has being able to coach them out here in Greenville. And a dream comes true for a lot of these players being able to participate in the Little League Softball World Series.
Raylan Van Zee was a big part of that success, especially in the circle. And this was definitely on the agenda for Texas West. They were tripped up a couple of games by Oklahoma in that Southwest region to come out as the runners-up.
Those games were actually kind of similar to the Missouri game we saw them play last night, where they were able to get runners on base, score some runs, but it was just that timely hit as the game went on, weren't able to bring them all the way around. And you know that they would definitely like to change that in today's game against New York.
Rocio told us, you know, that's been a point of emphasis coming into the World Series, working on situational hitting, being able to drop down those bunts, whatever is needed to try to push across and manufacture a run instead of leaving them out there. The 2-1 to Van Zee. She pops that one back foul.
And Coach Rocio said that they've done a lot of practice with that type of situational hitting before they got here to the World Series, putting them in those pressure situations with the game on the line, runners on base. What can you do? Not just swing and hit the ball into the outfield, but can you lay down a bunt? Can you slap the ball? Can you move the ball to the opposite side of the field to advance a runner? Those are the types of things they were working on.
Nice diving grab by Stella Bertoli, trying to get the double play, but how about that web, Jim, from Stella Bertoli going all out?
Another fantastic defensive play that we've seen already in this game. And Tiffany, it's only the bottom of the first inning. Bertoli getting a good read on this one. You can see she was already started off of the line, anticipating that that ball was going to go more into the 5-6 hole. Gets a great jump on it, the diving effort, and even gets up to fire it over to first base to see if she can get that double play.
And that's what Haley Arvidsson has been used to. Her defense backing her up at all costs. It's really worked well for them this summer. And that's another big reason why they've gotten here. Addison Young, and that's off Hannah Arvidsson, and runners at first and second for Texas.
That ball very sharply hit off of the bat of Addison Young, straight to Hannah Arvidsson at shortstop. She does a good job of getting in front of it, but it was hit so hard that it bounced off of her out into center field. And it looks like her coaches are going to come out to have a conversation with her to make sure that she's okay, because that ball was a scorching ground ball right to her. And it looked like it might have hit her even in the forearm as it bounced up.
Well, you know a thing or two about tough hops over at shortstop, having played at Tennessee and getting All-America honors 3 times during your career. I mean, she bounces back, but it's not easy.
And Hannah is looking very tough over there. Sometimes those ground balls are hit so hard you have nothing else to do but just try to stop it, try to get in front of it. And she does that, hits her right in the arm, gets out into the outfield. But showing great toughness out there to try to back up her pitcher.
So a walk to lead off this game to Rocio. She's at second base. The single by Addison Young standing at first. And here's the cleanup hitter in Peyton Richards. Richards, the only lefty in this lineup. And she already had a highlight this season with knocking one out of the park. But an outstanding athlete as that one goes over the head of Coach Rocio. She plays basketball, but she's also pretty darn good in track and field as well. Throws the discus and shot put. That's not often that you get to see young people, you know, doing field events. Oftentimes the running events, but she is developing into a very, very good discus and shot put thrower.
What a very impressive and unique set of skills that Peyton Richards has. Of course, you mentioned not a lot of players are doing that nowadays.
Right back to Arvidsson. Smart play to get the lead runner at third base. And now 2 away. So Rocio will take a seat. Richards at first base. And Arvidsson helping her cause.
Good job there. Again, that's that pre-pitch thought. Where are you going to go with the ball if it comes to you? And immediately she fires that ball over to third base. And you got to give props to Stella Bertoli, who knew, hey, I got to get back to third base so that we can get this lead runner out. And she does exactly that.
Isabella Mathis swinging at the first pitch in the center field. And there's Emma McHugh to end the inning. So just like we talked about, could Texas push across those runs? They leave 2 on base. Head to the top of the second.
One of the special things about Little League is these communities coming together, and what a great example, just showing you how much these communities support these young ladies and their competitiveness in these softball teams. And I'd imagine that these players felt pretty big time getting that type of escort. I know I would feel big time if I had that happen to me.
Oh, absolutely. That royal treatment, you remember that. That's something that sticks out to you, and it provides motivation for you to go back and do it again. And when you think about the weather delays that they had to experience, lights going out in that region championship against New York, you're able to pull out a 1-0 victory. That is certainly worth celebrating. The 4-3 put out Young to Richards, 1 away as Handelman is retired.
You know, I wonder if that parade is in the back of their minds thinking, hey, if we win the Little League Softball World Series, what sort of escort are we going to get when we come back home from that?
I'm assuming more streets would be lined, some confetti, the signs along the way. Big smiles across the faces of these young ladies again. First time South Orangetown Little League has made it to this point. Stella Bertoli, who had a fantastic grab last inning, showing off maybe some of her acrobatic ways. Simone Biles, her favorite athlete, really stretching out. It was like a floor exercise at third base.
A perfect 10.
Yeah.
I'm holding up the 10 for Stella Bertoli after that play.
That went high from Van Zee. Pitch. Rings up a strike. Stella, who is very familiar with several of these young ladies on the team. Always we hear about how close these players are to one another, and they've explained it as something real simple. Look, it's like a family, right?
Yeah, a lot of these girls said that these players are more than just teammates. They are truly family, and they get to experience this opportunity together, build lifelong memories and friendships. And they're competitive as well, so I'm sure they want to bring home a championship.
And there's continuity there because they've played together for a few years now. They also participate in other sports together as well. And creating new memories together here in Greenville. Juliana Lorum showing bunt, trying to advance the runner to throw back to first, and Mathis not able to catch Bertoli just yet.
Close play over there at first base, though. A good tag applied by Peyton Richards as well.
Lorum swinging above her head to try to catch up. 0-2 to Lorum. Low in the dirt. And Mathis keeping close watch of Bertoli over at first.
There's been a couple of times where Bertoli's led off, and it almost looks like she's trying to see if she can get Mathis to throw that ball down and make a bit of a delayed steal and take off towards second base. We haven't seen her do that quite yet, but it looks like she's thinking about it over there.
Gets her chasing and then hung up in the middle, almost in a pickle, and Peyton Richards nearly had her ball popped out, and Bertoli gets back safely. This is a fun little chess match here.
I thought she had her for a second. Look, there she goes. Bertoli trying to take off at the last minute, decides to dive back into first base. And as Peyton Richards applied the tag, the ball popped out. That would have been a very close play had that ball stayed in the glove the entire time.
This is going to be fun. She's going to keep on doing it. The challenge. Emma McHugh, 12-year-old out of Spark Hill, North Carolina. Excuse me, New York. It's cool because both McHugh and Lorum, who was just last up to bat, both play the flute. Nice skill set, very diverse.
Seeing a lot of versatility with these players, not just on the softball field, but they have several special talents. I don't know about you, Tiffany, but musical instruments is not one of my strong suits. So I have so much respect for these young ladies that can play the flute.
Swing and a miss, and strike two. See, I was a drummer back in the day, so yeah. Maybe we could do a duet. You know, flute and drums. I wonder how that kind of music could we make. Wild pitch pass. Mathis throws it over back to Van Zee. And now Bertoli, who has been longing to get to second base and just get moving, is standing now in scoring position with a full count.
She has just been waiting for any opportunity she had to get on over into scoring position. Able to do that on that pass ball.
Smacked, diving grab to the left of Rocio, tries to make the throw from her knees, not in time, but the throw to the plate, and she's out! Peyton Richards, great defense and recovery for Texas.
Just as you thought New York was going to get a run across the board, Texas says not today. Peyton Richards turning, firing this one to Isabel Mathis to get them out of the inning.
under review, and as we take a look at it again, sharp hit ball to Rocio, then Richards throwing home to Mathis, and Mathis able to apply the tag just in time.
This was such a heads-up play all the way around. A great effort by Lexi Rocio, diving up the middle to prevent that ball from getting into the grass. She fires it over to first, but again, we've talked a lot already about that pre-pitch thought, and Peyton Richards immediately, when she got that ball at first, fired it to home, knowing that New York was going to try to take advantage of maybe them sleeping on that play a bit, and it is confirmed that she was out at home. A great all-around defensive play, and it started with Rocio over to Richards, and of course, the tag applied by Isabel Mathis.
Can we love on these kids a little bit more? Because the defensive effort that we have seen, they have just given us everything.
Well, and Tiffany, you know that defense gets me fired up here, and we have already seen several great defensive plays, and it's still just the bottom of the second inning. I can't believe it. But the effort that these defenders are showing their pitchers as well, just laying it all out on the line. And I feel like when you make those great defensive plays, it fires up the rest of your team. You can carry that into your at-bats when you come up to the plate to see if you can use some of that energy, some of that momentum to get some runs across the board.
Well, Addison Williams, the left fielder, coming up to bat to start off bottom half of the inning. We'll see if that will carry over at the plate. Addison Williams, known as Goose, so a couple of geese in the tournament. And this one over the head and into left field, the leadoff single for Goose Williams.
Knowing that Haley Arvidsson likes to stay around the plate, Addison Williams very aggressive in this at-bat. On an 0-1 count, drives that ball out into left field to get a rally started for her team.
And the birthday girl coming to the plate, Reese Tate, turning 13 today. Tater! That's the nickname for Reese, and laying down the bunt, she does a great job of it. That one rolls foul.
Another example of the small ball. We know from talking to Coach Rocio, that's something that they've practiced a lot coming into this World Series, doing whatever they can to try to manufacture those runs. He told us that Reese Tate is a very good bunter, and I know a good birthday present would probably be to move that runner over into scoring position.
And she's gonna get it. Does her job, the sack bunt, and Addison Williams at second base. And runner in scoring position for Texas.
Just textbook fundamental softball right there. She gets asked to lay down a sacrifice bunt, move that runner over, and she does exactly that. We might as well just wrap that one up in a bow for the birthday girl.
Yeah. What emoji would you have for that?
With a little pink bow.
You got the bow, or would you do like the
or the
cake
confetti?
And the confetti?
I like the confetti, yeah.
There's options there.
All of them.
Brinley Robinson, who was 0 for 3 yesterday, but she could bust through with a big hit. Big Texas Longhorn volleyball fan. Favorite athlete is Logan Eggleston, the outside hitter for the Longhorns. Good cut there, got by her. 1-2. Nipped a piece of that one. You know, it was Robinson who came in and had to pitch in that championship game, had been on the mound or in the circle for a little more than a month, so I think she took everyone aback and impressed all as she strikes out 2 away.
Arvidsson coming right back with a big strikeout. Robinson has a ton of power potential up at the plate, so Arvidsson decides to stay on the outside part of the strike zone. And look at the late movement on this drop ball as well. So as it's coming into a right-handed batter, it looks like it's going to stay right about thigh high, which is right in the sweet spot for a lot of these power hitters. And at the last minute, drops off the table. It's a big-time pitch by Haley.
That went in for a strike. First pitch strikes to 8 of the 9 batters that Haley Arvidsson has faced, and that is what makes her so good in the circle. That's how you have success, if you can pitch from ahead and going up to chase as Journey Patterson, and she stays that way.
I was just about to say, one of the benefits of getting ahead of these batters is you start to see them swinging out of the zone because they're falling behind so quickly in their at-bats.
On the outside corner, ringing her up, catching her looking, freeze, back-to-back strikeouts for Arvidsson.
Well, what do you do when the leadoff runner gets on base? You step up, saddle in, and get 2 strikeouts to send your team back into the dugout to pick up the bats. We've still got a tight ball game, people.
North Carolina supporters, including East Carolina University first.
So there's a common theme with this Texas defense, and it seems to be big plays made at the plate. That one ended up being overturned, called out. Isabel Mathis coming out to apply the tag on that one. Another great tag. And then again today, another play at the plate, a fantastic tag. Huge momentum swings in those defensive plays, and you can see just how fired up, not just Mathis is, but the entire team when they get those big outs.
Now that's how you protect home. Standing tall in front of the plate, being in the right position, the throws on time and right in place, and so Isabel Mathis doing her part. Defensively, I've just enjoyed this. Yes, we've got a nice little duel going on in the pitcher's circle as well, but the defense has really shown bright here today.
And I think these defenses do a nice job of communicating to, whether it be before the pitch or during the play. People are constantly talking out there on the field, telling them where the cutoffs need to be, which bases need to be covered, maybe which opportunities they have to get outs at certain bases. Constant communication, great leadership that we're seeing from both of these teams.
Van Zee, her line so far today, only giving up a hit. But those 3 walks, and that's something that she'll want to limit moving forward against New York, who knows how to win close ball games. And then sometimes they can unload as well. Hannah Arvidsson, the shortstop, leading it off here in the top of the 3rd.
You know, Tiffany, we were talking about Stella Bertoli, the 3rd baseman for New York, having some great acrobatic skills, making that great diving catch over there. But we hear that Hannah Arvidsson is a fantastic gymnast herself, a state finalist in gymnastics.
And interestingly enough, she is the same height as the most decorated gymnast, Simone Biles.
Great athletes all the way around. And Arvidsson showing more of her versatility. Started off this at-bat from the left side, maybe trying to put a ball in play, and says, you know what, I'm going to flip on over to the right side of things with 2 strikes.
And she just casually walked over like, yeah, I've seen you from the left side. I'm just going to move to the right. And a couple of defensive substitutions in the field for Texas. Corbin Stretcher-Stroud in left field. Over at 3rd base is Abigail Sepulveda, and Haven Hansen out in right field. No, she thought that was a strike instead. She's like, let me check. No? Ball? Okay, full count. I'm still alive.
Now we have seen that low part of the zone called in today's game.
And Van Zee gets the strikeout.
Great adjustment by Van Zee in the circle. Ended up getting to a full count, but she decides to challenge Arvidsson with this pitch up in the zone. Earlier in this at-bat, we saw her working that drop ball down. This one a little bit farther up and gets a strikeout to start off this inning.
New York led off this game with a couple of walks. Adriana Diorio looks at a strike. Part of the Ginny Finch pool, also happens to be Diorio's favorite player. Two-time Olympic medalist, fantastic pitcher, one of the greats to grace the circle.
It seems as this game has gone on, Van Zee has started to find more of a groove in the circle. You had mentioned how back in that first inning, she walked those first two batters to start off this ball game. Only walked one batter in the second inning, and already here in the third being very efficient with her pitches so far.
So that ball strikeout ratio even, but not anymore. That's a registered K for Van Zee.
Van Zee just dealing in there with the velocity on this pitch. This is a curveball outside to Diorio. Look at the tight spin and the location. Right at the last minute, it is breaking away from those right-handed batters, making it very difficult for them to recognize. Van Zee's fourth strikeout she's racked up already.
And as there are a lot of changes in this ball game, I want to make a correction here. Backing up Raylan Van Zee over at third base is Haven Hansen, and Sepulveda is out in right. We've seen some spectacular defensive plays. Don't expect any drop-off for the rest of this game. Arvidsson, who has a dream of one day becoming a travel photographer.
I'd imagine you get to see some pretty incredible places across the earth with that job. Not a typical profession you see in these questionnaires that we've seen. We've seen a lot of doctors, some lawyers even, but travel photographer, something very unique.
Did she go around? Yes, Renee Cruz says yes. 3 strikeouts in a row for Raylan Van Zee.
Van Zee really finding her groove out there in the circle. She's got her command, she's got her movement. And how about striking out the side in the third inning? Feeling it out there. We still got a tie ball game, but Texas is going to try to break it open here in the bottom of the third.
Please now entering the game for New York is number 14, Bridget Linehan, number 2, Juliana Roram in the 7th slot.
Great relationship between these two young ladies on your left, Haley Arvidsson, and behind the dish, Alyssa Chiappa. They've been playing together for some time. They know each other. It's like there's mental telepathy. And these are the comparisons between 8 and 13. That's right, folks. 5 years in the making. This friendship has formed and developed. And let me tell you, you can see that consistency, that rhythm, and that connection on the field.
I love that they recreated this photo from when they were 8 years old, but talking to Alyssa Chiappa before this World Series, she said that she's been catching Haley since 3rd grade, and of course now they're entering 8th grade, so she is very familiar with what types of pitches that Haley likes to throw. Not to mention that Chiappa is the one calling the pitches back there behind the plate as well. She's almost like another coach on the field. And you can tell that they have just a great camaraderie between the two of them. A fantastic battery and definitely leaders on this team.
The leadership speaks volumes when you're watching these young ladies swung on and tried to leg it out, but the out as Rosillo is retired, because it was Coach Chiappa that went back to 2019. They had dropped the game in regionals, lost to Pinfold in New York, or excuse me, in that state championship back when they were 10. This year, they beat them 9-4 to go on to win the region championship, and it was that intestinal fortitude that he saw from his team that really helped. Cool story, though. Chiappa had to go in as the pitcher in 2019 because the starting pitcher had broke her finger. So Chiappa goes in cold, having never pitched before, and throws that game. And what a gritty effort by her.
Not many people can just go out there and throw when their team needs them to, but she goes out there and pitches, and I know that she was really excited to be able to be in her comfort zone back there behind the plate this year, and she's a big reason why we've seen so much success out of this New York team.
And she won that game, which is so cool.
So impressive. For somebody that didn't pitch to just go, you know what, my team needs me, I'm going to go out there in the circle. Just an incredible athlete.
This one swung on, sharply hit to left, and Bridget Linehan, who was a defensive substitution, gets the second out.
Isn't it crazy, Tiffany? As soon as you get put into a game, you know that the ball is going to find you. This is a laser off of the bat of Van Zee, straight to Linehan in left field, who has to track that one all the way over to her right, able to secure it. Look at the leadership that you're seeing out of Haley Arvidsson as well, knowing that she missed her spot and saying, my bad, with a big smile on her face. Happy that Bridget was out there to make that catch.
I just can't stop talking about the defense. Yes, there are some routine plays, but when you're coming in cold off the bench to make a play like that, you just continue to feed off of it.
Well, and that ball was hit right on the nose, too, and sometimes those line drives, when they're hit that hard, they almost kind of drop off the table at the end, so you really got to track it with your eyes all the way into your glove, and Bridget does exactly that.
Taking all the way was Addison Young. Young smokes that one into left field. Good piece of hitting and 2 singles on the afternoon for Young.
Addison Young's hit the ball really solid in both of her at-bats. She hit the one right back up the middle earlier in this game. This one she pulls a little bit farther into left field. A 3-1 count. She knows she's got the advantage being in a hitter's count. Takes this pitch that's actually on the outside part of the plate and pulls it over to left field.
Peyton Richards' first pitch swinging, and it's Savannah Nordstrom runs over to tag first base. So a runner left on base in every inning for Texas, but the score still goose eggs. The love of softball spreads through generations. Little League Sandlot Fun Days is a player-led, unstructured opportunity for Little League programs to provide a fun, relaxed activity like maybe sliding down the rail, or how about baseball for baseball and softball players. You know, kids make the calls, the rules, the lineups, and let me tell you, you give them bats, balls in the field, and you just let them play. Learn more today at littleleague.org/Sandlot Fun Days. they were having plenty of fun, but they were being rather conservative sliding down the rail. I thought they would pick up a little speed on the way down.
I feel like 12-year-old Madison would try to get a running start and jump onto the pole and slide down, which might not end as well as I would have hoped, but I definitely will not try that today because I would definitely hurt myself.
You see, this kiddo decided to kind of take your advice and run over. But just stopping, nerve-wracking for sure for parents.
Parents everywhere are just closing their eyes right now as this is happening. He's got some pretty good balance going down.
Just easing on down the rail.
And the finish and the wave.
So much fun. This is just how you want to spend, your Friday afternoon. And look, we've got some cloud cover.
You can see the flags blowing, a little bit of a breeze too. I know the fans appreciate that, along with the players out there on the field, loving the breeze.
Nice to see the flags from each of the states represented at this Little League Softball World Series. Missouri, Indiana, New York, New Jersey, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Virginia, Oklahoma, and Texas. Leading it off and sharply hit from Chiappa past a diving Rocio, and the leadoff single here in the top of the fourth for New York.
Great job by Chiappa, wasting no time. She gets into a hitter's count, a 1-0 count, and attacks the very next pitch that she sees. It's a pitch on the inside half of the plate, drives it straight through that 5-6 hole, past the diving Lexi Rocio at shortstop to get a leadoff runner on board for New York.
First hit given up by Van Zee. Now Savannah Nordstrom. We share a desire to vacation in Turks and Caicos. And you see really aggressive on the base pass for New York when they have gotten on. Bertoli was flirting with second base. You see a good lead there from Chiappa after the pitch.
Well, I think when you have a pitcher's duel going on, when you finally do get on base, you want to try to take advantage of any opportunity you're given. How about Bob Diorio over there down the third baseline, showing off his fielding skills? Just showing his team, hey, I can do it too.
Yeah. His daughter on the team, and something that the players like to hear from Coach Diorio before every game: don't screw up. Haley Arvidsson says she loves it, actually.
Short to the point, that's all you need.
But it's a way to really kind of lighten mood. You get the joke. The 1-2 swung on by Savannah Nordstrom over the head of the left fielder, Linehan. And coming around to third base is Chiappa. Stand-up double for Savannah Nordstrom.
We knew that Savannah Nordstrom had power, but how about this opposite field power? A pitch that is outside, and she drives it out to the left field wall. What a sweet swing, and she was behind in the count as well. That's a big-time piece of hitting by Savannah Nordstrom to get now 2 runners into scoring position for New York with nobody out.
New York feels something brewing here after they were held hitless through 3 innings. Back-to-back singles, the first of the game given up by Raylan Van Zee.
Van Zee throws with great velocity out there in the circle too, and Nordstrom doesn't try to do too much with that pitch. She doesn't try to pull it to right field. She just lets that velocity do majority of the work for her, gets her barrel to it, and just smacks that thing all the way out to the wall.
Pinch runner in at second base, Juliana Lorem. And they're going to intentionally walk Ava Handelman to bring up Stella Bertoli, but that loads the bases for Bertoli. And in what has been a very tough afternoon for either team to get anything going offensively. We could see New York strike first. Bertoli first pitch, and caught by Addison Young at second base. Great way to jump and get a track on that, a little bit over her shoulder.
Well, Tiffany, I was just going to mention the defensive strategy by intentionally walking that batter. You load the bases, you create a force out at any one of the bases, and the infielders are pulled in. So this one almost drops over the head of Addison Young because they were anticipating more of a ground ball by playing inside the baselines. And now that they've got one away, it seems like the middles are actually playing back, maybe to try to induce a double play ball up the middle to get out of this inning. The batter before, the middle infielders were playing well inside of those base paths, and now they're playing well back and pinched up the middle a bit as well to try to turn one.
And one of the most improved players on this team, Bridget Linehan, now finds herself in a great position to knock in a run. Remember that defensive substitution in left field. Now she gets a chance to come to the plate and make an impact here. Nice pitch in from Van Zee to get ahead of the count, 1-2. Linehan, whose father, Gerard, is a New York firefighter. Swing and a miss there, the strikeout, and 2 retired. So at the moments where Van Zee needs to step up, she's getting those crucial outs, and that strikeout was one of them.
And we're seeing just a consistent mentality out of Van Zee as well. She doesn't care that the bases are loaded. She's still going to attack the strike zone. This is a drop ball down in the dirt. A big time pitch and a huge second out to try to work her way out of this jam.
Another lefty at the plate in McHugh. And McHugh still has the door open with 2 outs. The dribbler over to second base to throw to first, and it's in time. That ends the inning. And 3 runners left on base, but they were stranded as Van Zee came back strong in that inning to get out of a jam. We're still tied at 0.
Little League would like to thank our official partners, including T-Mobile and Major League Baseball's Play Ball Initiative.
They're not new to this, they're true to this. They stay locked in, connected to sport that is teaching these young ladies about leadership, discipline, work ethic. And the story coming in for Texas was the fact that they left so many runners on base in their first game. Well, New York is joining them in that, as we've seen them each leave some ducks on the pond. This one into right field, drops in front of Handelman. And the leadoff base hit for Isabel Mathis.
Mathis doing a good job of just getting enough of this outside pitch to drop it out into right field. A good moving curveball going away from her. She gets it right on the end of the bat and drops it strategically in front of Handelman out there in right field.
Well, Haley Arvidsson and Raylan Van Zee have been so stingy. Even if runners get on, they won't let them push across. Popped up on the bunt, and right there is Bertoli for the first out.
Texas trying to play a little bit of small ball, trying to lay down a sacrifice bunt to move that runner over into scoring position. And Corbin just gets underneath, so her barrel gets underneath of this pitch. That's why it pops up over to Bertoli at first base. That's a tough one for Texas. When it comes to the bunts, you want to do whatever you can to try to get your barrel on top so it's going straight down to the ground, but a good job defensively again from New York.
Reese Tate, who has aspirations of one day becoming an architect. He's behind now, 1-2. Strikes out. Haley Arvidsson had her chasing on the outside part of the plate, and now 2 retired.
Another great moving pitch out of the hand of Haley Arvidsson. This is a curveball breaking away from the right-handed batters. And her pitches continue to be deceptive because every single one of them coming out of her hand looks the exact same. Her changeup, her curveball, her rise ball, her drop ball, they all have the same type of spin, the same arm speed coming around, and that's why we're seeing a lot of swings and misses and mishits from this Texas team.
Abigail Sepulveda, her first at-bat, and she wanted to make sure she had the right hardware, so she will get a couple of practice swings before she steps in. Robinson near that Waco area. A lot of players, fans of the Baylor Bears. Sepulveda, the youngest player on this team, and smacks it over to Nordstrom. Nordstrom, who has done a really nice job at first base, as well as this infield defense for New York. Nothing doing with that single to start the inning. We'll move to the fifth.
The circle, Haley Arvidsson for New York and Jenna Kiefer for Virginia were lights out in the circle all day long. And then Thursday, the big bats came alive. Goose Hutchins blast that one over the center field wall. And then Ava Hansen said, I want to get in on this going yard action as well. And we've also seen some stellar defensive plays. Those have also carried over in today's games as well. Diving catches, double plays, fantastic tags, you name it, we have seen it here in Greenville.
It's kind of like, so what else is on tap? What else can happen?
A pitcher's duel. How about that?
Yeah.
We're seeing that today.
There's Haley Arvidsson. She's due up to bat in this inning. She's in the hole, rather. And Raylan Van Zee, got to give props to both of these pitchers. And it was Van Zee who gave up back-to-back singles to start things off in that last inning. She had the bases loaded, and what does she do? Retire the next 3 batters.
Ice in her veins out there in the circle, not phased at all. Remember, she started off this game with back-to-back walks and was still able to get out of that jam. I do like how we've seen her have more command of her pitches as this game has gone on, which isn't something that's easy to do with it being as hot and as humid as it is. We did see her bust out that rosin bag rather quickly, but it seems to be working for her.
Popped up, and the bunt from Hannah Arvidsson right into the glove of Van Zee. 1 down.
Well, Van Zee can pitch it, and she can field it, too. This is a very athletic play out of Raylan Arvidsson trying to lay down the sneaky bunt, and because she sees her square, Van Zee runs in, and that bunt ended up going a little bit over her head, but she reaches up and is able to snag it for out number 1.
Back to the top with Diorio. Adria Diorio, whose father Bob we mentioned, one of the coaches, along with Oscar Nordstrom and Joe Chiappa. Right back to Van Zee, knocks it down with her leg, able to still get the runner at first. She's like, oh man, why did that have to hit? That kind of hurt, you know?
It looks like either way they're Coach Rocio is going to come out to make sure that she's okay. This was a hard hit ball. It looks like it might have either hit her shin or the top of her left foot. Still unfazed, picks up that ball, fires it over to one to make sure she gets that out. Regardless, Coach Edward Rocio going to come out to have a conversation, make sure she's all right.
Coach Rocio, who has had 3 daughters come through and play Little League. He's been coaching in the organization or been around Little League for 11 years now.
And everybody that works with Little League are volunteers. So these are dedicated people that want to devote their time to growing this game and making this experience as great as it possibly can be for these young women.
Well, he experienced it as a youngster himself, making it to regionals in Little League Baseball, and so very tight bond with his daughter, Lexi Rocio, the shortstop. This Texas team rallies around his one team, one dream theme. They've made it here to Greenville. And after jumping out to a quick lead and seeing Missouri come back to take that first game, they're itching to get their first win.
Strike zone a bit tighter here to Haley Arvidsson. A couple of those balls thrown low and outside. Our home plate umpire, Don Mason, says those are a bit too far out of the zone to call. That'll bring it to a full count.
Van Zee to Arvidsson. And the strike down the pipe, right down Main Street. Another one registered. 8 now for Van Zee.
Van Zee says, you know what, this strike zone might be a little bit tighter this at bat, but I'm still gonna fire it in there. She is racking up the strikeouts, and we've still got a tie ball game headed into the bottom of the 5th.
Young lady right there, Haley Arvidsson, who threw back-to-back perfect games in the regionals, only allowed 1 earned run in the regional. She also had a 2-hit shutout in that championship game.
You know, it's pretty funny getting to talk to Alyssa Chiappa before this World Series, and I asked, were you guys aware of what Haley Arvidsson was doing out there in the circle? And she said, no, at the time we had no idea until the game ended and we realized that she had thrown a perfect game, and then the next game she did the exact same thing. So I would say that she went off to start her regional tournament with a bit of a bang. Those back-to-back perfect games. Not too many pitchers across the nation can say that they've even thrown 1 perfect game, let alone to throw them back-to-back.
And Haven Hansen, who was 2 for 2 yesterday, she comes as the pinch hitter and leads off the inning for Texas with a base hit.
Really nice job by Haven Hansen to try to get things going here in the bottom of the 5th inning. For both of these teams, it hasn't been getting the leadoff runner that's been getting the leadoff runner on board that's been the problem. It's been bringing them all the way around. Nice job by Haven, taking that pitch, going with it, driving it out into right field to see if the bottom of the 5th inning is their lucky inning to bring somebody around.
Taking off. And that one ruled foul, so coming right back.
And right there, Lexi Rocio trying to lay down a bunt. Yep, and it hits her right there on the arm. A great call by Don Mason back there behind home plate, noticing that she got hit while she was still in the batter's box, which is why it was ruled a foul ball. But it looks like he's going to come out to have a conversation with his fellow umpires to make sure that that was indeed the right call.
Well, they too are volunteers, lending their time to these young ladies to give them an experience of a lifetime and to enjoy sport. And another look at it here, and an excellent call from Mason.
Great job by our camera crew as well, getting those views. Just to confirm that Don Mason was right back there.
Rocio trying to lay down that bunt again down the first base line. It rolls foul. So 0-2 to the leadoff hitter, Rocio, a.k.a. Rolex.
And with a 2-strike count here, you just want to do whatever you can to put that ball down on the ground, move that runner over into scoring position, and have a productive at-bat.
Goes up and chases that one out of the zone, and that one a long flying foul ball. Rocio, who we talked about the relationship with her father, sees him as her role model. Says he pushes her to be the best. And what he's done is also just invest the time, not only in her, but her teammates. The 1-2. Waiting on that one, opposite field fly ball right into the glove of the right fielder, Handelman. And mishandled on the throw back in, and heads up base running by Haven Hansen. She stands in scoring position now.
Hey, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. Lexi Rocio gets a great piece of this changeup, driving it hard all the way out to Handelman in right field, who throws it into second base, and it just skips off of Hannah Arvidsson at shortstop, far enough away to allow Haven Hansen to scoot on over into scoring position. And you're exactly right, Tiffany. Great heads-up base running to advance there. Taking another look at it here. Just skips off of it. Looks like the knee of Arvidsson.
Well, she's been beat up a little bit. She took a ball off the arm earlier, and there off the knee and in and out of the glove of Bertoli. And Van Zee at second base, and Edward Rocio is beside himself because there was a great opportunity to push across the first run in Haven Hansen, and he's saying, just go home.
And he was sending her all the way. I think that's why we saw that reaction from Coach Rocio. This one skips off of Stella Bertoli at third base. Great effort to go and hunt that one down. You can see he was pointed to home. He was trying to send her all the way around third into home. And Haven Hansen was watching the ball, so I don't think she saw Coach Rocio's signal to go on in and try to score. Looks like he's still talking to her about it over there at third.
And so just, again, a great teaching moment. As we have seen multiple moments throughout this tournament where you can just learn from it and grow.
Number 26, Peyton Richards.
And a lot of times as a runner, you want to keep your eyes on the ball, but you almost kind of have to multitask a little bit. Keep one eye on the ball, the other eye on your coach to see what they're wanting you to do in that situation.
And really uncharacteristic for this New York team to commit back-to-back errors. We talked about both of these New York and Texas groups, the best in terms of fielding percentage coming into the World Series.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the pitchers that they have in the circle aren't your typical strikeout pitchers. They're not going to strike out a ton of batters in a game, but they really rely on their defense to make plays.
And this one past the glove of Bertoli at third, and finally breaking through the scoreboard is Texas Addison Young delivering the RBI single.
Just a great piece of hitting. This looks like actually Peyton Richards that's up at the plate, driving this one opposite field through the 5-6 hole. The infield was playing up, trying to cut down that runner from scoring over at third base, and because of that, she's able to shoot that one through out into left field to put Texas on top.
Here's Isabel Mathis. Mathis swinging away into right. Is Handelman. Gets the ball out of the glove. The sac fly. And finally, Texas able to drive home some runs.
Isabel Mathis just hitting it far enough out into right field for a routine sacrifice fly to score an additional run for Texas here. And a good job by Peyton Richards being the trail runner, noticing that that throw went all the way to home plate, that she could scoot on over into scoring position.
Runs coming at a premium here, and Texas able to collect 2, taking advantage of some miscues.
One of the signs of a great pitcher is getting better as the game goes on, and that's exactly what we've seen out of Raylin Van Zee. She struggled a little bit early in the game with her command, but has really settled in. She's got great movement on her pitches, a good off speed, and she has been dialed in for her team, and she's going to look to continue that trend here in the top of the 6th inning with the game on the line.
Van Zee, who gave up a few walks early in this ball game, struck out 7 batters, only giving up 3 hits, but more importantly, she has held this New York team scoreless as we move to the final 3 outs for this New York team. Do they have it in them to come back? Raylin Van Zee hoping not.
Well, and if you're New York, this is the exact part of your lineup that you want up in this situation. Your 3, 4, 5 batters coming up to the plate. The big hitters, the big-time power hitters. And they've been able to get runners on board. It's just being able to get that timely hit to bring them across.
That's what's been so interesting, because that's what New York has done so far in the last few games. They have been able to produce that timely hit when needed and give just enough cushion to Arvidsson in the circle. And here, Chiappa, one of the leaders for this team, can help jumpstart them here.
You can see right there, Isabel Mathis communicating with Raylin Van Zee out in the circle. You don't want to give New York any sort of momentum swing here. You want to come back in with a strike, try to get back into this at bat.
Chiappa, who hits 100 soft toss balls before every game, and right into the glove as she hits it, and Van Zee is there to catch out number 1.
And you could see Chiappa's reaction after she hit that ball, just, oh man, right to her. She hit that ball hard, right back to Raylin Van Zee. Quick reactions out there in the circle, snagging that one. You could see Alyssa Chiappa in the background, just, right when you hit it on the money, it just went right back to the pitcher. Sometimes there's just nothing else you can do as a batter.
Well, Mathis tried to frame that one, but it's called a ball. Think to Van Zee. She has bases loaded. She's in a jam back in the 4th. And since then, she's been able to retire 7 batters. So, again, getting into a flow, but another zone. She's leveled up her game in what has been a pitcher's duel until that last inning, where her team is able to give her a little bit of cushion. She's really risen to the occasion.
Well, and I think that mental zone that you're talking about, Tiffany, is exactly what we've seen, because she's had some hard hit balls hit right back to her. Like you said, people on base behind her. Her team not being able to come up with that timely hit, and she is not fazed by any of it. She goes out there and she just throws her game every single pitch.
Strikes out Savannah Nordstrom, and that is critical, crucial. Van Zee leveling up.
And still Van Zee acting like this is no big deal. It happens every day. This is a screwball moving away from Nordstrom, who's on the left-handed side of the box. A great location for that pitch, right at the knees. And that's a big-time strikeout there for out number 2.
And Van Zee, as our Great statistician Dan Ferran has let us know the last 5 outs have been her own. Popped right back to her. Another ground out, a couple of strikeouts, and another line out. And here, 1-1 to Ava Handelman. She was intentionally walked the last time up, going back to that 4th inning that we were referencing before she retired. Then the next 3 batters after that. Remember, coming up after this, Arizona and Missouri, North Carolina, New Jersey. Still more on the way. New York has come back on their mind, looking into the eyes of Ava Handelman. She awaits the pitch. This one lined right to Young at second base. And that's ball game, folks. Raylan Van Zee gets the W for Texas. They win it 2-0 over New York.
I mean, with the way that this game went, would we expect this game to end in any other fashion than a fantastic diving grab over there by Addison Young? The defense showing out. Texas finally able to get that timely piece of hitting that they needed, and stellar pitching really on both sides of the ball.
An excellent duel in the circle, and it's Texas who's able to avenge their loss from yesterday. They were able to get the runs when they needed it, and Raylan Van Zee has a lot to cheer about looking at the standings. Just to catch you up now, it's Texas who's 1-1, and they're handing New York their first loss of the week. Again, we mentioned plenty more softball to go, as Arizona, Missouri coming up next, North Carolina, New Jersey. Jenny Dalton-Hill, Matt Schick will have the call. Congratulations to Texas as the Robinson Little League registers the 2-0 decision. Coming up, we mentioned Arizona, Missouri. More to come from the World Series. Games airing on our ESPN networks and archived on the app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. For Madison Shipman, I'm Tiffany Green. So long.